LTA, let's talk about it. Well, today, what is this? Friday, the 13th, I believe. Yeah, Friday the 13th, 2026, March. And I want to talk about a story I heard the other day about this lady and her boyfriend getting into it all the time. And they was getting into it. You know, it was a toxic relationship, as they would call it. And this one particular time they got into it, old boy was trying to tell her to get out his house because he was living inside one of his dad's properties, and old girl was living with him. So they got into it for whatever reason. This particular moment, he was telling her, "You got to get out." Right? She was like, "I'm not getting out nowhere. I pay all the bills." Old boy didn't have a job or nothing. You know what I'm saying? His dad had a bunch of properties, and he's been living off his dad, ever since birth, actually. Little dude went to the military, and, once he left the military, I forgot if he got dishonorable discharge or if he served his terms or what, I forget. But either way it go, ever since he's been out the army, out the service, he hasn't been working because he's been staying at his dad's property rent free. So he get with a girl that he actually met in the service, and they was knowing each other 13 years, I believe, and was together 10 years out of that 13. They get into it. Like I said, I guess they've been having a toxic relationship. They get into it. He tell her, "You got to get out." She said, "I ain't going nowhere because I pay all the bills." Blah, blah, blah. Dude goes and grabbed a gun. I think it was her gun that she actually even bought. And he threatened her with the gun. "You gonna get out, or I'm gonna do something to you. You ain't gonna be on. You ain't living past this situation." So she calls the police. They said she called the police multiple times. At that, police wasn't coming the first couple of times that she called, and he finally called the police. Goes, "Okay, old girl called 2 or 3 times or something of that nature." The police said they on their way. They on their way. If it ain't too serious, be patient. They never came. He ended up calling the police a little bit later in that day because he was saying that he don't want this situation to escalate. So the police finally comes when he calls. Right? They come. She tells them, "Hey man, I've been telling y'all that I've been calling and telling y'all what's going on, and y'all act like y'all ain't taking it serious. Now that he calls, y'all come." They like, "All right, well, what's the problem? We here now." She said, "Well, I wanna, I'm reporting that this nigga pulled a gun out on me, and it's her and her baby." Let me add that. It's her and her baby. I think her baby was like 8 years old, a little girl. She said, "We've been arguing. We always get into it, whatever. And he just threatened me with a gun. So I'm taking this serious. You know what I'm saying? I feel threatened. I feel like my life is in danger." So they asked her, what do they, what do y'all want? What do she want them to do? Do she want him to go to jail or whatever? I don't even know why they got to ask this. If she said a gun got pulled, I don't even understand why that's not an automatic case. But whatever. They like, what you want them, what you want us to do? Why don't you leave? They're telling her to leave. She's like, "I'm not leaving because I pay all the bills. He done maxed out my credit cards, blah, blah, blah. I don't got nowhere to go. My family lives out of town, and I got my little girl with me." So they like, "So, okay, well, what you want us to do? You want him to go to jail?" She's like, "No, I don't want him to go to jail because if he goes to jail, he's probably going to get some time." I guess he got into a situation before, some legal trouble before, and if he gets in trouble this time, he's not going to get a light sentence or, a slap on the wrist if he gets in trouble again. So this woman is telling these people, "No, I don't want him to go to jail because what could happen to him," after he just threatened her with a damn gun, right? So then she also says, I've been his friend for 13 years, and I don't want to see him in jail because, that could have some problems on his mental. He could go through some mental stress, blah, blah, blah. And also he might not get a slap on the wrist. And then she also says, I went to the store to call the police because his dad owns 4 or 5 properties on this block, so I didn't want them in our business. She even said, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I don't like to see people go to jail at all, not even people that's in the wrong. I'm thinking in my head, like, is this girl crazy or what? I don't, I'm not a jail type of nigga, you know what I'm saying, as far as like wanting to see people in jail or whatever. But at the same time, you got to care about your safety more than you care about this nigga mental health, his family being this, knowing that he's fucking up or whatever case may be. So image, you got to care more about yourself and your baby safety versus image and motherfucking his mental health and if he's going to do time or not if he goes to jail, right? So cool. They like, it was 2 cops, a man and a woman. They going back and forth with each other like, so what should we do about this? And they like, well, we telling her to leave. She don't want to leave. She don't want him to go to jail at all either. So what do we do? They stuck because they like, usually when a motherfucker call the police, they want to see somebody in jail, right? So they say, all right, well, this is what we going to do. We going to just tell y'all to separate in the house. One go upstairs, one goes downstairs, right? All right, so they leave. They don't take nobody to jail. They don't take the gun or nothing. Man, when these people leave, however, I forget how long later, an hour later or 2 hours later, this man kills her and the baby. Shoots them dead. Her and the baby. So the story just blew my mind for a lot of different reasons. Though one reason is, like I said, you're not worried about your safety, you or your child's safety, versus worried about this man's situation, his mental health, his image, your image, how much time he's going to do if he gets in trouble again. You mean to tell me that those situations, those issues is more important than you and your baby's safety? Now I know people get into it all the time. I done got into it in my relationships in life before too, never to no super like crazy extent, but I definitely done got in, got into some domestics before. I ain't no domestic nigga though, so probably shit. Could count on one hand how many times that didn't even happen. I know domestics at all ain't good, but I never beat a bitch down or no crazy stuff like that. But I'm just saying all that to say I'm not, no goody two shoes or innocent in all this. So I understand people get into it, but you gotta draw a line though. Especially as you get older, you do that shit in teenager years, very early 20s. Shouldn't do it at all. Don't get me wrong. Never. You should just walk away, break up, all that good stuff first. But people are human. So, there's no way in the world though that you pulling out guns on people. There's no way in the world you taking it to that extreme, right? So, nevertheless, the man kills the woman and the child, and all I could think in my head is, like, rest in peace to her, of course, and the baby. But I can't help but to say, man, like, I mean, I know it's wrong to call her dumb or whatever. She's a victim. She passed away. But that's just crazy, The man threatened you with a gun, told you flat out, you ain't finna live past today if you don't get out. He's telling you this. And I brung up the reason why I even brung up the getting into it part, because, people get into it and people say a lot of crazy stuff. So a lot of times people don't take it serious. But you got to take it serious. You know what I'm saying? You got to take that serious. You got to protect you and your baby more than anything, right? And then the police, though, is super bogus as far as how do you come to a domestic call that's been made 3 or 4 times that day, and when you get there, this woman told you, this man threatened me with a gun. You don't take nobody to jail, you don't make nobody leave, and you don't even take the gun? Like, what's going on? The mom filed a lawsuit against the police department too. I don't know if she won or not, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about that story because what's more important to you? First of all, like I said, don't even be with each other if y'all got to go through all that. I know that's something you learn as you mature in life, but if you can learn that out the gate, You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're in a relationship at 15, 16. Learn that if you got to be aggressive with each other to the point of people putting hands on each other, you don't need to be together. If y'all always arguing, always, like the real arguing, not just disagreements, but the super arguing, the bitches and the hoes and all that, you don't need to be together, right? So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that situation because it was crazy how she was trying to save this dude versus the safety of her and her baby. You know what I mean? What is that about people? You rather worry about this man getting in trouble. You worried about his image. You worried about his mental health versus him pulling a gun on you and telling you you're not going to live past today. So, yeah, just let me know, man. What y'all think about stuff like that? LTA, let's talk about it.